My name is Anita Frauwallner, and I have dedicated my life to those tiny little bacteria that you see in the background of this photo. Whenever I start to talk about those tiny creatures as if they were my very best friends, people are not sure if this is interesting for them. And I will tell you one really important thing. It has not been life-changing only for me, but it will be so for everybody in this world. My story started more than 40 years ago when I had the incredible chance to marry a wonderful person, and this guy was my very, very ideal love. But very soon he was quite sick, and it came out that indeed my husband had a colon cancer. And we did everything, really everything we could. We had the very best doctors, and nevertheless, my husband had to die, and he wasn't even 40 years old. And for me, this was incredible, because it seemed that all my life had gone. But as a matter of fact, no, it was not. My life started again because I thought about my chances. What could I do to help other people? They would not have the same fate. They would not be as unlucky as I was. And indeed, in the meantime, I have started my own career as a scientist who has found many, many really clear proofs that these tiny little bacteria are important, and that there is a clear correlation between a person's health status and the diversity of his microbiota. And you know what? I'm certainly not the only person who knew about that. Yeah? More than 100 years ago, this person that you see here, Dr. Ilya Mechnikov, he said that these tiny little bacteria are for the prolongation of life. And indeed, I will tell you, bacteria, they are a really perfect community of friends. And what is essential to keep them like a warm and living blanket, as you can see it here, you need healthy food, you need less stress, less drugs like antibiotics, and you need less microplastic in our food and drinks, because all this will lead to a disaster in our gut, which I will show you right now. This is the picture of the gut that you do not want, which has had too much stress, too much sugar, antibiotics, and all that. But one of the crazy things that are now in our life, this is microplastic. And whenever I talk about it, people ask, what is it? Yeah? These are tiny particles, and we have an uptake, every human, every week, of 5 grams. You will ask me, where does it come from? Yeah? It comes from the tires of your car, from your shoes, from plastic bottles, from the streets, yeah, and the color on the streets. More than 70 sources to have this microplastic. And you know what? It's incredible. It is in our drinking water, and it reduces the bacteria in our gut, and especially it reduces gut's diversity of bacteria. So you have less and less bacteria that can do different things in your body. So perhaps one day you won't have any bacteria that can produce different vitamins like vitamin B or vitamin K. And perhaps one day you won't have any bacteria left that will produce butyrate, which keeps your energy up and which keeps inflammation down. So you really need these bacteria and you need their diversity. And it's not only that they are in our water, in our food, but they destroy our gut barrier, which you can see here. Why is gut barrier so important? Because all what you have in your food, think of, for example, toxins, but also think of color stuff, which is in quite a lot of food. Yeah? Think of chemical things that are in your food. All that is kept just to your stool when you have a very good gut barrier. But it will go into your body, it will go into your bloodstream, it will come into your heart, and it will come into your brain if the gut barrier is destroyed. And microplastics, for example, they indeed go into your body. And you know why this is such a problem? Because microplastic is a source for cancer. So indeed it changes the bacterial microbiota, and then it cannot modulate the carcinogenesis. So we have really, really problems. And you know what? One of the main goals I have in my life is indeed that we fight this microplastic coming into our body. How could we fight it? Okay, you perhaps know that in the oceans there is microplastic in an enormous amount. And they found that probiotic bacteria could really fight this microplastic. They could deteriorate into such tiny little pieces that it will not have this incredibly bad effect on our body. And this is indeed what we try to find. In this project that we have just got really the funding for, we look for probiotic bacteria that indeed can have a very, very positive effect on our body and can indeed hinder microplastic to be the source for carcinoma, for cancer. And perhaps you will ask yourself, but indeed, how can we get the right bacteria? What is the right bacteria? How do we restore this gut barrier and bacterial biodiversity? And indeed, no, perhaps it's not the way you see it here. But there is an incredible way. The more of these tiny little bacteria we have in our body, we can indeed have a much better life. And I always say, I'm sure with a little help from my friends, my bacteria, we are able to have a better life. And I would like to lead you along and to welcome you in my world of probiotic bacteria. Probiotics of human origin. Probiotics that if you just keep to a very clear and precise quality concept, to an outperforming concept for probiotics, you will have exactly that way of life that I think every one of us should have and should give not only to me, but I would like to give it on, to give it to everybody, to all human mankind. And for me, quality has always, throughout my life, been something like my DNA. And I would like to explain to you why it is so important. My staff, my friends, our scientists, all of us, we just share values. We want highest quality for our work, our products, our research. We share goals. We want the prevention instead of just chemical cure. With the means of nature, we want to fight pathogens. Pathogens that would have harmful side effects, perhaps. No, we don't want that. We share visions, people who are healthy even at a high age. People who have natural bacteria as part of everybody's lifestyle. And we want probiotic bacteria of a highest activity for the best probiotic products ever. And you see here what is possible. I've talked to you about toxins. One of the worst things you could have, for example, when you go to hospital or when you receive antibiotics, which normally should save your life, but they change bacteria like Clostridium difficile so that this bacteria produces toxin A and B, cytotoxins, enterotoxins. And if you use the right probiotics, they have an incredible effect. They reduce the release of toxin A and B within 24 hours to 0. This is what our research is going to. So this is what Omni-Biotic 10 can do, but it can do far more. It can indeed help you that pathogens cannot enter your body, or if they do so, they will be stopped. And for me, it's especially important because I have seen that with my uncle, and at the age of just 45 years, he came to hospital, yes, with a very bad disease, but he, in the hospital, was prone to really bad bacteria, and he was killed by them. Within 5 days of reaching the hospital, he did not get cured, but he was killed by bad bacteria. And this was the reason why our research went into probiotics, which can even kill Clostridium difficile, which is antibiotic resistant, but it's not resistant to their own relatives, which we have in Omni-Biotic 10. Be really aware of it. For me, it's so important. Research can do an incredible amount to protect your body. This is the reason why I wanted to know scientifically what we can do for our body without chemical substances as far as possible. And very often people have said, yes, you are a pioneer of innovation, and I love innovation. And I love to use human bacteria because a human being does not have a cow's gut or a sheep's gut. No, we have a human gut, and therefore we need human bacteria and not just those that you get in yogurt or kimchi or whatever, because they will not stay in your gut. Yes, and I will never forget what one of my oldest teachers of microbiology, he told us, be aware of it. You need proven synergy of all those bacteria, and then they will colonize your gut. And I wanted to have a probiotic that could do more. A probiotic that you can rely on all over the world, that will colonize every traveler's gut. And you see it here. In a really good probiotic, you have not just 10 or 20% of people who have a real beneficial effect. No, you see it here, 85% of travelers to such really bad, yes, but beautiful cities, like for example, if you go to Papua New Guinea, or if you go to Indonesia or wherever, or to Africa, yeah, you will need a traveler's help against really bad pathogens. This was, and I developed it for me myself because I love to travel, and this is why we developed a probiotic called Omni-Biotic Travel. But this is not the only one. For me, it is important that the probiotics that we develop are medically relevant. And to have them medically relevant for everybody, yeah, you need it scientifically proven, but you also need it indication specific, because normally a human being will have at least 500 different bacterial species in his or her body. 500 different ones. Don't you believe the same thing that I believe? If God would have thought one bacteria is enough, we would just have one bacterial species. No, we have hundreds of different ones. And then of these hundreds, we have billions of them that will not only colonize our gut, but also other parts of our body, our skin, our mouth, our nose, our ears, and this is indeed really, really important. But there is one thing which I want to talk to you, because you and me, we want to create a better world. We do not want to create a world where everybody over the age of 60 is getting dementia or Parkinson's disease. No. And when I found out, and I will never forget that, talking to one of my profs, and he was really inspiring. And he told me that there is a clear relationship that probiotics, or let's say excellent probiotics, they can restore the function of your brain. And he told me that if you have a leaky gut, this will indeed lead to a leaky brain. So, would you like that? No, of course not. And I think it's really important to know that it's possible to have that toxins will not reach the brain. Yeah, the high toxin load is the worst you can have. And when my prof told me that a lot of substances might wander from your gut into your brain, I knew that I had to work on that. And what is so important, if you have the right beneficial bacteria, these beneficial bacteria will also produce beneficial metabolites. We don't need toxins in our gut, but we also do not need toxins from food in our brain. So we want transfer of short-chain fatty acids like butyrate into our brain. Why do we need that? Because then toxins that get over the brain-blood barrier will have no chance to get into your brain. They will have no chance, indeed, to make a kind of neuroinflammation into your brain. This is the important thing that I would like to have. Yeah, we do not want bad bacteria, but we also do not want bad toxins in our gut and not in our brain. And a dysbiotic gut flora is the direct result of an unhealthy, unbalanced lifestyle. We all know that, but it is really, really difficult nowadays, because what will happen? What happens from this bad food, from these loads of sugar and alcohol, we will have all those toxins in our brain. And it can't be that you will suffer thoroughly throughout your life just because your lifestyle has not been good in younger years. What happens is neuroinflammation, neurodegeneration, cognitive abnormalities, behavioral abnormalities. You don't want that. And your brain needs probiotic metabolites for functioning. And to reduce neuroinflammation, to make your brain work faster, to make you feel happier, you need the best bacteria in your gut. And now the question always is this just theory or is it real science? And for me, only science is it that counts. Yeah, I don't want to tell you stories, especially no fairy tales. I want to tell you how intestinal bacteria influence, for example, cognition. And we have done these studies, and we have seen the improvement of memory, of motoric activity. And you know what? Via neuroimaging. We can now not only make a picture of your brain, we can really make videos to see the activity of your brain and how this improves via the very, very best probiotic bacteria for your gut, but having an influence on your brain. What else influence is important? Intestinal bacteria can influence positive emotion. And I will show you another study, and you see it here with a probiotic called Omni-Biotic stress, or in the US it's called Omni-Biotic stress release. This improves cognitive function and positive emotion. And we haven't only done that in elderly people perhaps. No, we have done it with young, healthy students during exam period, and we could really see this improvement versus placebo and versus students who got nothing at all. And there is one more thing that the same probiotic can do. It influences pain. Have you ever had pain? Then you don't want it. One of the worst things you could have is an irritable bowel syndrome with incredible pain. Some people only have diarrhea or constipation or bloating, but others, they have an incredible reduction of quality of life because of pain. And we could show that we get with using this probiotic every day for at least 4 weeks, you will already see a higher diversity of the microbiota. You will see significantly less symptoms like diarrhea or bloating, but especially you will have far less pain in your gut. And noticeable effects within 4 weeks. This is quality of life. This is especially one thing. This means treating the disease, not just the symptoms. And I have one more thing that is important for me, because one of my very, very best friends, she had a disease which is, very, very much more often in females than in males. Indeed, it's 3 times more often in females than in males. And it's something to do with enormous pain, but not just pain in the gut, but it has to do with enormous pain in your head. What do I talk about? I do talk about migraine. And perhaps you, as well as I did, have a friend that has enormous pain and sometimes cannot even visit you because she will not even be able to see the sun. She was not able to go out because she could not use light. She had a reduced quality of life, which was heartbreaking for me. And this was the reason why I thought I have to do something for this person and perhaps for many, many more people all over this world. And we got to study it. And you know what? I went back 2,500 years and I read something about the greatest doctor we have all over the world. His name is Hippocrates, and he was there in old Greeks. And this Hippocrates were all the doctors, at least here in Europe. They will swear their oath that they will always be there for people who need them. And this guy, he said, migraine is the disease of the liver. And so we went for it, and we thought perhaps this is true, perhaps this incredibly good doctor, perhaps he was right. And we went into science and found out that indeed it's the microbiota of your gut who has an incredible impact on all the liver diseases. But when we went on, we could indeed see that it was not only the effect on diseases of the liver, but indeed this special probiotic, it has an effect on migraine. And I will show you just one result. We did a study with more than 1,000 patients, and these patients just got for 8 weeks a probiotic which is called all over the world Omni-Biotic Hetox. Hetox, yes, hepatology, reducing toxins for all the body and especially for your brain. And the effect is indeed that pain intensity was reduced within 8 weeks for more than 60% with just 1 sachet of Omni-Biotic Hetox per day. And you know what? It was not only the pain that was reduced, it was also the intensity of the pain. Many more things. So these patients, they would not see now, they could go out into the sunshine again and would not have their migraine. They would use more than half of the amount of painkillers. So again, I will tell you what was so important for me was indeed that these excellent probiotics, they are effective, but they still do not have any side effects. They do not just have the effect on pain as a painkiller has for a few hours, but indeed they have the effect on the source of the disease. And then if you really get away that with these natural human bacteria in very, very good probiotics, you will get rid of the migraine for the rest of your life. That's where I think I have an impact on quality of life. And what I think is so important, I want to give this knowledge not only to the people I know here in Austria or Germany. I think we are now ready that these probiotics are experienced all over the world. This is the vision I have for a new quality of life, and not just for young people, but for everybody, even if he or she is of high age. And I have seen that, and this was so important for me. My mom has just died 3 months ago, but she died at the age of 98 years. And for more than 25 years, she has taken her Omni-Biotic every day. Every morning in her life, she would wake up, and whenever we had a telephone call, she would say, "You know what? I see that all my friends here are dying at the age of 70 or 80 or 90 years, and I'm the only one who is surviving, but I have still a high quality of life because I feel really that it's worth living." And this is why I wanted to talk to you about these tiny little bacteria that can change your life as well as it changed mine and that of my mom. Thank you now, and please take care of your friends. They have changed my life, that millions of people feel it. Do try it yourself with the power of nature towards a new life, full of energy and full of positive emotions. That's my wish for you. Thank you again.